All right, so this is the Write Like a Pro Skill Builder presentation that was given on Friday, November 3rd, I believe. In order for you to complete this assignment, you will need the Write Like a Pro Skill Builder note guide and the modeling of the assignment, which I have on my website. So to get started, when I was grading our 6-week exam essays, I noticed that there are some things that we can definitely work on, and one of those were adding sentence variety and some sentence complexity, because if we just have simple sentences throughout the entire essay, there's absolutely no way you can get a passing grade. They don't see it as you showing a mastery of writing. Sorry about that. So the first thing that we're going to look at is participles and participial phrases. That should be the very first column in your handout. And this is pretty much ing verbs or ed verbs at the beginning of a phrase or a sentence. On number 1 on your handout, it says, in your own words, explain how this technique works. And that can be something as simple as just drawing a little diagram. So, for example, verb ing and verb ed, that could work for your definition. So here's an example. The diamond-scaled snakes attacked their prey. This is with the actual participles, hissing and slithering. The diamond-scaled snakes attacked their prey. Notice the ing. And also, at the end of that phrase is a comma. That comma is extremely important. We use commas in this situation to denote unnecessary information, and it's really just a courtesy for the reader, like, hey, you don't really need to know this part, but it's good to have because it shows craft and it makes the sentence more interesting. So here's an example from literature. This is from Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. This is a much more complex example of the participles and participial phrases in use. Notice how many he actually uses. Shifting the weight of the line to his left shoulder and kneeling carefully, he washed his hand in the ocean and held it there, submerged, for more than a minute, watching the blood trail away and the steady movement of the water against his hand as the boat moved. So again, this is a really complex example. Notice shifting, kneeling, submerged, watching, and moved. There is only one verb in this sentence that is in past tense or present progressive, but it's not considered a participle, and that's washed. And that's because washed is necessary for you to understand the entire thing. If we were to take out all of the yellow or all of the participles, he washed his hands in the ocean and held it there for more than a minute. If you put a period at the end of that, that is a complete sentence, and that is the core of this actual sentence. You can remove absolutely everything else, all the stuff that's in yellow, and you just had that white, and it would make sense. So this is actually not considered a participle because it is the predicate of this sentence. I also want to point out again all of the commas that are denoting the unnecessary information. So absolutes, and this is the second column, it's a 2-word combination of a noun plus an ing or an ed verb. So the way I wrote my notes was noun, verb ing, or verb ed. Sorry, that's an e. So it's pretty much a noun plus a participle. Okay. So here is the simple sentence, the cat climbed the tree, and here's the sentence with an absolute. Feet kicking, the cat climbed the tree. Or you can extend it into a full phrase, which means more than just what is required. Feet kicking on the slick birch branch, the cat climbed the tree. Again, notice the ing on the verb, and feet is, of course, a noun. Here's an example from Anne Rice. The mummy was moving, torn wrappings hanging from its arm. The mummy stepped out of its gilded box. A scream froze in Carla's throat. Now, this noun is a little different because it is a noun phrase. They are torn wrappings. This is describing the kind of wrappings that they are. So that makes hanging your verb, even though this ends with ing. Because there's an S, it shows that it's a plural, which can only be attributed to a noun. And again, the comma. So appositives, this is the last one for this first page. And appositives, the definition is really confusing. A noun that adds a second image to a preceding noun, or a second noun image turned into a phrase. What they're pretty much saying is describing something using a noun. And a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. It's much easier to see this in action. So the raccoon enjoys eating turtle eggs. The raccoon, a scavenger, this is a noun, enjoys eating turtle eggs. And then there's a more expanded one. The raccoon, a midnight scavenger who roams lake shorelines in a quest to fill its belly, enjoys eating turtle eggs. And again, notice all of the commas that indicate the clause or the phrase. So here's another one. Dave, my older brother and inventor of the super duper electromagnet, decided I should test his invention. You can take out and inventor of the super electromagnet, and it still makes sense. Dave, my older brother, decided I should test his invention. Or you can do the opposite. Take out my older brother, add an or the. Dave, the inventor of the super duper electromagnet, decided I should test his invention. You can always add more appositives, but remember, every time you add something, you are also adding to the idea or the image of the noun that it is describing. And of course, this phrase is describing this noun, Dave. All right, so for homework, you need to complete number 4 on your handout, which is to write your own sentence using whichever strategy or skill is in that column. I have another video for the back, which is also due at the same time.